I am Cam Rogers. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. I'm about 31 followers away from 4 digits from 1,000 followers, so help me out a little bit. All right, I'm going through 5 veterans who could be cut from the 49ers. We'll start things off with Josh Garnett. It's crazy to say, but this could actually go down here, and he's a former first-round selection under the Trent Baalke regime. There's been a lot of negative buzz about the future of Garnett, which is interesting because there was some positivity out there because he shed some 20 pounds to be ready for Shanahan and that zone blocking scheme. But then you got the signings of Jonathan Cooper and Mike Person and Laken Tomlinson extension there, and perhaps Garnett is just the odd man out on this team. In terms of natural fits, yeah, Garnett, if you just look at him, is more of a man-blocking guard. He's more of a mauler, not necessarily a mobile guy meant for those stretch blocks. But still, I mean, I was buying into all the positivity from February and March and April. You guys heard me talk highly about Garnett as well. So I had high hopes for him, but the recent reports aren't too kind, so I got to put him on the list here. All right, next up, Joe Williams, the former 4th-round selection. So you got Jerick McKinnon, absolute lock. Matt Breida is coming off a nice season and is probably safe as well. Williams didn't exactly burst onto the scene in 2017 when he showed up out of shape. He had ball security issues. So it's Joe competing with Raheem Mostert for that 3rd RB slot, and I don't know if Joe can win out. Williams took almost all of his reps in OTAs with the reserves, which does not sound very good for his stock. And then Mostert just has more versatility. He has more ability on this team because he can play on special teams. Joe Williams cannot. So he's going to have to really impress during training camp to make that 53-man roster. All right, next up on the list, Aldrick Robinson, wide receiver, and the 49ers are expected to keep 5 or 6 wide receivers on the roster. Garcon, Goodwin, Taylor, Dante Pettis. Those guys are locks, which means 7 players are competing for 1 or 2 slots, and Robinson is behind the 8 ball compared to the likes of Richie James, the 7th-round selection, and Kendrick Bourne has really impressed as well. Robinson is entering the final year of his 2-year, $4 million contract. Meanwhile, Pettis, for example, will cost only $480,000 in 2018. So could come down to money, could come down to return on investment. By the way, Aldrick Robinson, I think my accent came through in my first pronunciation, not Aldrick, Aldrick. All right, so that's one guy who could be cut from the 49ers. You guys are watching the 49ers Report, presented by Game Time. Get up to 60% off all those last-minute sports tickets, concert tickets, and so much more. Chatsports.com/tickets is the way to go. All right, next up on the list, we've got Earl Mitchell, defensive tackle. And the issue with him is the 49ers have Sheldon Day and DJ Jones, both of whom have more positional versatility than Earl Mitchell. And Earl Mitchell is coming off a pretty bad campaign as well. Simply not worth a roster spot if you ask me. Now, Jones's cap hit is roughly $3.8 million less than Earl Mitchell's cap hit. And Mitchell also didn't participate in OTAs, or at least in the portion available to media members out there, so that's a tad concerning. And moving on from him could save some $2.6 million in salary cap space, which really isn't a big issue for the 49ers, but money is money, am I right? All right, let's get to the final name on my list. Jeremy McNichols. He's a talented back, but it's the same logic with Joe Williams, guys. I just don't know if there is a spot on the roster for him because of McKinnon, because of other pieces on that team, such as Mostert, who has special teams ability. I just don't know where McNichols fits on this roster, and he has barely been on the 49ers so much because you see the B-roll that I have. Most of it is him with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the 49ers don't owe this guy anything per se, and it could be McNichols battling with Joe Williams and Mostert for that 3rd RB spot, and I just think McNichols is way behind the 8 ball compared to the other players on that depth chart. So what player out there do you want to be cut from the 49ers? I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to say Jimmy Ward. It ain't going to happen, guys. They exercised his 5th-year option. He's staying on the team. They need him for depth at the very least. All right, so let's summarize my list here. Garnett, Williams, Robinson, Earl Mitchell, McNichols, 5 veterans who could be cut. I'll be back here on Sunday afternoon for the mailbag segment. I love doing it, love interacting with you guys. So if you have a question for me, hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Comment on Facebook Live or comment on YouTube. I'll be tracking what you guys ask, and I'll be sure to feature you right here on the 49ers Report. All right, folks, I'm Cam Rogers. Once again, hit me up on Twitter, and I'll see you Sunday afternoon.